Hello, are we live, Ollie?
Yeah, yes, I believe so. Yes, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome one and all to this show, Roaring Railway Routes with me, Dick Moon, and you
And
should,
yeah, I should probably, yeah,
yes,
me,
yes,
Ollie Sex.
wonderful. And we hope this is coming at you like Cleopatra, as they say, as they say. Um, and we're about to enter a tunnel. There's a Freudian slip if ever there was one. But we really hope you're going to enjoy this. This is a celebration of the gentle pastoral joy that is a railway journey. Isn't that right, Ollie?
It is, and you know, I have been in some utterly frightful tunnels in my time.
Have you now?
Yes,
Do you have a top 7?
yes.
What would be
Oh,
your
I see.
number 3?
Well, number 3, there's a tunnel near Telford,
Right.
and do you know that I was in a train on there once, and the bugger broke down.
Oh, good Lord.
So we all had to get out and walk to the nearest station.
Oh, dear.
And I saw a ghost.
A ghost, you say? What, in the tunnel itself?
In the tunnel.
I say.
And it was terrifying.
Can you describe it in English?
Yes, it had long hair,
Good Lord.
and it had 4 appendages.
4 eyes.
The eyes were ghastly.
Right.
The appendages were just it doesn't. I had a lot of nightmares about it, so I probably shouldn't dwell.
No, you shouldn't. Have you ever taken the opportunity to maybe sketch down this phantom, this and sort of, at some point you could maybe fax me over a thing, and maybe I could try and put a bloody name to it.
Well, yes, I could. Do you get is the fax working in your shed?
It's still working in my shed at the moment. Of course, yes, I should say for all listeners, I'm currently in a shed at the bottom of the garden due to flooding that has happened in my area. It happens every bloody year.
Every bloody year I try to go to his house, and do you know that the bloody thing's underwater?
It's underwater. I often say to my postman, you may as well call my address number 48 Atlantis. And
Yes.
Sometimes he looks like he's laughing. So luckily,
you told his wife that at the funeral, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, I did. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Time and place, Dick. I said.
Yeah, because he drowned.
Internally, he did drown. Yes, he did drown, which is terrible, really.
Yeah.
Still, as I say, an Amazon package has to be delivered. As far as I'm concerned, he possibly could have used it as a float, but he didn't.
Yeah. That's the problem with him. Is there was no initiative.
No, absolutely not. No, you're absolutely right. Now, listen, for those purists, and I know you're out there, this is the a wonderful railway journey that I've taken, and I believe you've taken, Ollie, many times.
Oh, many times, yes.
Many times, which is, of course, the London King's Cross St Pancras to York. Now, for the purists, where obviously we're not sat on this as of now. No. This is stock footage, as you will. But this is a British Mark III fleet, the 9824. It's a Wolverton stock line, and it's a 32-E7, just for those who want to know. And we will be passing through quite a lot of dull and rather unremarkable stations, but we'll also be passing through some absolute banjos of stations, including Bourneville. Yes, Bourneville, yes. Skirtingcombe, Larwich, South Downpour, one of my personal favourites, Lennox and Wells, and of course Chipfield Den and Fluffingthorn.
Oh, I'm not a fan of Fluffingthorn.
Oh, can you tell me why? Can you tell me why?
Yes, well, I once had this wonderful dog, and his name was Bertie. And one day I decided it would be jolly nice to take Bertie on the train.
Right.
And we got off at Fluffing Horn because he could sense something. You know how dogs sense things?
Well, dogs are wise beyond their years, aren't they? Because
Mm.
I believe for every year that a human has, it's 7 years for a dog.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So,
Yes,
if you look at your average puppy, it's already cleverer than most people.
well, I mean, that was certainly the case with Bertie. We had to get off at Fluffing Horn because he'd sensed something in the bushes behind the station. And when we got back there, do you know what it was?
No, please tell me.
It was a fellow who murders dogs.
Oh, good God!
Yes.
What
He
a dog
very much.
murder!
Yes, he'd sensed. He'd met his own Grim Reaper, and not only that, he'd sensed him. And I had to just hold the lead while he battered Bertie to death with a hammer. It was dreadful.
Good Lord! Sorry, just for those who are in the know, we just passed Marmouth. So did you go to the police, or
Oh,
did you use the old Queensby rules and give him a
no.
taste of his own medicine, or?
I told him off. I said that was terrible, when the lead finally went slack. But I thought, what are the police going to do? They're not, there's no dog police.
No, there really isn't.
If a little car turned up with an Alsatian wearing a policeman's uniform and a
Yes.
sense of justice, then perhaps I would have phoned that number. Perhaps it would be 997 or something. But of course, there was no such thing. So I just had to say to him, that was rather off. And
Yes. Oh, look,
Oh.
there's an IKEA on the right.
Oh, that's lovely. The man, of course, told me to, go forth and multiply, as it were.
Oh, good
And
Lord!
I just had to get poor old Bertie in a bin liner and take him home.
No, I tell you what, it reminds me of when I was looking after my neighbor's Shih Tzu, and she was called Mandy, and so was the dog. And Mandy had gone off to do, I think, some sort of Peloton thing in the Maldives, and I was looking after Mandy the dog, and she accidentally ate some spore-based fungus,
Oh,
and
dear.
started convulsing on the common. Now I immediately went, "Good Lord, I need to do something." And you're absolutely right. Who do you call? I ended up calling the RSPBB, and they said, "Well, we are primarily bird-based."
Bird or dog? What's the bloody difference, really?
Well, that's what I said, Ollie. I said, "For God's sake, it's one of God's living creatures. Can you do something about it?" They said, "No, we can't."
Well, that's just. I haven't got time for bureaucracy. You know that of me.
Oh, you absolutely loathe red tape, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. I see you as a sort of giant pair of metaphysical scissors that has spent his life cutting through red tape, quite frankly.
Absolutely. My whole life I've had red tape in front of me, like some sort of bloody runner.
Yes. Now, I suppose at this juncture it might be a sort of wise of us to maybe give we're just going through Thanet's bush there. If you might want to give our listeners a sort of little sort of potted history of who we are.
Oh, I see. You like a précis, you mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So Ollie, I mean, I've known you for years.
Yes.
But tell our eagle-eared listeners, who are you, sir?
Well, my name's Ollie Sachs. I am presently unmarried. I divorced from Flo in October 2018. Wonderful lady.
Not for want of looking, though, shall I say, Ollie?
Absolutely. Yes. I've been told off a few times, actually. But yes, and my background is primarily in the music business.
Yes. Now you've been involved in what I believe you call the biz.
Yes.
In quite a long while now. Since what, the 60s?
Since the early 70s. In the 60s, of course, I was rather a performer rather than a manager.
Right.
Yes. I played the saxophone, which, of course, where my name actually comes from. My real name isn't really Ollie Sachs, of course.
No, of course.
No.
That is a stage name, but of course it is your moniker, because I've seen you writing checks in supermarkets, and it does have Ollie Sachs
Yes, well, I had to change you see, because
in its
there was
typeface.
already someone in the biz with my name, a chap called Engelbert Humperdinck, you see. So I had to change my name to Ollie Sachs.
Of course, yes.
I was in a jazz. It was a quartet, which is fairly unusual for jazz.
Yes.
We did have a fifth one, but he went so far to the right, we never saw him again.
So just pass through Pumphrey there. Carry on.
We started off a jazz band, and then, of course, I gravitated naturally to be a manager.
Right.
And over the years, I've managed such bands as Bucks Fizz.
Good Lord.
And of course, yes, at the Eurovision Song Contest in 1981, it was my idea, of course, to do the infamous skirt thing.
I see. Now, wasn't that, I believe, when before your involvement, and obviously you definitely took it in the right direction, what they were going to do at this stage is they were going to pull each other's wigs off.
Yes, well, Bobby G initially wanted to pull the girl's skin off.
Right, which, of course, I mean, how does that work?
How does that work? So, of course, it went to hair, and then I said, well, the answer's staring you in the face.
Of course.
The skirts.
So it went skin, wig, skirts, and
skirts.
finally, you got the old golden egg, as it were. Because I mean, that is. So, are you literally the man, Ollie, that created the Bucks Figs skirt reveal?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yes. Well, as I say, initially it was Bobby's idea with the skin, but I had to talk him down.
Of course, yes.
So I can take 50% of that, surely.
Well, I remember several parties where we had to talk Bobby down.
Oh, poor Bobby.
Yes, poor Bobby.
Poor Bobby. I mean, he did not take the split very well. I mean, especially with the bus crash.
No. He recently got into a lot of. He got into a spot of a sort of contretemps recently. He rang the Roses, which I believe is the phrase.
Yes.
The old boys in blue, complaining that the people in the granny flat next to him were growing marijuana, but it was in fact just sandalwood joss sticks coming through the window, and he got into a right old threepenny bit about it and called the bloody police.
Yes, he overheard them. You see, they said they were going to watch Moana, and he just got the wrong end of the bloody stick because he's deaf these days, of course.
Deaf as a post, isn't he? And of course, he's paper thin walls in the granny flat he's currently in.
Paper thin. I mean, I remember going around then one night, and you could hear the conversation going on from 3 doors down.
Absolutely. So, Bucks Fizz, I know you've had a lot of your thumb in Shawaddy. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, again, another band I was very proud to be a part of in.
Sorry, Ollie, can I just stop you for 1 second?
Yes, of course.
This bridge we're about to go under, very, very famous. 17 Asian people have committed suicide off that bridge. Just a little factoid. Carry on.
Wow. Well, that is an interesting fact. But yes, Shirodi Waddy. I was involved in a very small way. You know how they wore those hats?
Yes.
Well, I got them those hats, you see, because I was at a party one night, and everybody was celebrating being part of the party, you see, and they were throwing their hats up in the air, and they all went home and left them there. So the next day, I collected them all up because I thought this will come in useful.
Oh, so you were almost like some sort of haberdasher womble.
Yes, because you could never have enough hats.
No, never.
No, because you were a big fan of hats, Dick.
Well, I don't want to go too much into it because it's a dreadful, boring story. But I'll give you a quick sort of CV of one's life if you want. Oh, look, we're just passing through Pissington. Excuse me. Oh dear. Sorry, I had a Scotch egg earlier, which I don't think I heated up properly in the oven, and I think I've got a little bit of the breadcrumb or the sausage meat sort of caught in the esophagus.
Oh God!
Anyway, sorry. Yes, I cut my teeth many years ago. There's no way I can sort of dance around this, but I used to work for Witch magazine.
Yes, of course.
Yes, and I was a product tester for 22 years.
Yeah.
So yes, that's how I cut my teeth. Retired now, thank God. Well, I say retired. It was more of a sort of forced retirement via sick leave. As you know, I mean, I've told you this story, Ollie, for ages and ages.
But I never get bored of hearing it, Dick. Never.
Bless you, Ollie. Bless you. I was testing because we're an independent testing company. It doesn't matter if it's a Seiko or a Zanussi or a Concorde. We treat every product as if we absolutely hate it, and then at the end we might like it. Ooh, scary tunnel. Yes. So I was testing out I think it was a Flymo strimmer. Where the unfortunate accident occurred. Thankfully, nothing to do with the strimmer. Because what happened was I mean, very rigorous testing conditions that we adhere to. At which, so I pulled the starting mechanism of the strimmer, and it went off like an absolute shot. But it wasn't suitably what I would call housed. In other words, it wasn't tethered down, which it should have been. And of course, the strimmer then leapt to life. I, of course, knew that, I could lose fingers over this whirling dervish. So I backed away, straight away backed away. But that was where I came a cropper, because I backed away onto the next product that we were testing, which was a novelty birds of a feather curling tong. I think it was the... I can't remember the name of the character now, one of the common ones. And
was it Tracy?
No, it's the other one.
Oh, Tracy,
that's it.
Yeah.
So I accidentally backed off from the strimmer and slipped on a loose packaging of novelty birds of a feather curling tongs, and then of course I went arse over tit, I'm afraid, and shattered my femur.
Awful.
Yes, it was awful, and of course I couldn't work after that. I still have to rub Tiger Balm on my hips to this day. But I got a rather generous severance package, let us say, and I've done rather well out of it.
Well, if you're at all interested in our personal coupling, to use a trained parlance.
Yes. Now, gosh, when did we meet? Well, I know exactly when we met.
It was 19.
Go on.
89.
88, I think you'll find.
88, of course. 88, yes.
I think you'll find.
Yes.
And we were young and fancy free, weren't we? Young and fancy free.
Not half.
You'd had your second divorce.
Second, yes.
I think I was on my fourth, I think, at that point.
She was there for 5 minutes. She told you to buckle off.
Well, luckily she dropped me off in the car, and then that's.
I mean, it was 50. She didn't even stop, Dick. You were rolling down the grass verge.
She slowed down to a sort of passable 8 miles an hour, and she saw that there was a sort of soft verge at a respectable angle, and she sort of tipped me out.
Yes. But you took it with such grace, and that was one of the first things I admired about you.
I like to think so. I remember I stood up. I think I was covered in all sorts of.
I mean, Lord knows what was in there.
Yes, God knows. But I said, I just said, "How's that for 007?" I remember
yes,
you were the only one that laughed.
Yes. I was terribly worried about you because it was such a long way.
So, just for those watching, we've just passed through the station, which is, of course, Bourneville, which is one of the ones I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that's a lovely station.
Bourneville. So, yes. To cut a ghastly story short, we met on a singles walking holiday in the Chilterns, didn't we? Yes. We were both looking for love, but we didn't find love. In fact, I have to say all the women were absolutely ghastly. But we found each other, and we found a mutual love for trains.
Trains, yes, among other things.
Yes. I remember we both had possibly far too much cognac the first night we met. And I remember you telling me, and this is always stuck in my craw. It's wonderful. You said, I wish that the film Trains, Planes, and Automobiles was actually called Trains, Trains, and More Bloody Trains. And
I did say that.
I remember thinking, I'm going to love you.
Yes, well, in actual fact, I would often take a biro to that poster and write those very Yeah, they asked me to leave, but
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
I caught them when they came out, of course, and said, "How was trains, and more trains?" But they just walked past. It was fairly rude.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, the staff at most cinemas are sort of young, obstinate.
Oh, I don't enjoy the cinema anymore.
No, nor do I.
No.
I don't mind the everyman cinemas. They're rather nice, but the membership has gone through the roof.
It's because you should all know, if you're listening, that Dick Moon loves a sofa.
You're absolutely right. I am never off one, quite frankly.
Dick is to sofas what a millionaire is to automobiles and speedboats. He can't get enough of a. He'll buy a sofa, he'll sit in it, and then he'll say, "I'd like a new sofa."
I absolutely love that. Until you mentioned cars and speedboats. Ooh, a pox upon you all.
Oh,
it's trains all the way here, I'm afraid.
Oh, absolutely. Though, you can't get a train to Waitrose. I do say that.
No, and I wish you bloody well could.
Mm.
Wish you bloody well could. Now, we're on the King's Cross St. Pancras to York. You've taken this journey a fair few times.
A lot of time. In the mid-'80s,
yes,
I was the manager of a little rock band you may have heard of called Def Leppard.
Good Lord.
Yes, and I used to commute to them to watch their rehearsals. They used to rehearse in York. Yes. And did you know the reason why they're called Def Leppard?
No, I had absolutely no idea. I presumably something to do with a carnivore's ear.
Well, do you know that in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a craze for rich people to buy wild cats?
No, good Lord, you're absolutely right. I remember once I went to a party and Uri Geller, the absolute pilchard of a man, Uri Geller had, I believe, a pet panther at the time.
Yes, he did, yes.
And he was lording it around with the panther. But I seem to remember at one point it reared up and it rather sort of scarred Susanna York.
Yes, it is. And he was bending her spoon at the time. So it was insult into injury.
Oh, good Lord, rubbing salt into the wounds, as it were.
Absolutely. That panther was with him everywhere. He took it everywhere until one day he decided, for good luck, he'd drop it out of a helicopter.
Yes, which I believe is I can't exactly pinpoint where Yuri's from, but I believe it's an old custom from where he's from.
Yes, he's from somewhere ghastly. I don't know.
Oh, good Lord! Look! We're just passing through Pug.
Oh, a wonderful station.
Pug with 2 G's.
But of course, Def Leppard are called that because they were out on the moors one day writing a song, and they found a leopard that had been released by some rich sod.
Yes.
And they took it in and looked after it, but they quickly found out it was hard of hearing. Its name was Ruxby.
Ruxby the Def Leppard.
Ruxby, and they'd have an absolutely bloody terrible time when they took it out. They'd all be standing there saying, Ruxby, and he'll be ripping the throats out of cats and killing cows. And they couldn't stop it because he couldn't hear them.
No, and also it's a natural predator. It's only doing what it was sort of programmed to do.
Yeah, we had to bundle that thing in the van and pay people off. What a bloody nightmare.
Do you know what? That absolutely reminds me. I don't know if you've ever been down to Devon. Obviously, Devon is one wonderful part of the world. I mean, dreadful people, but wonderful part of the world. And Paynton Zoo is a big draw. But close to Paynton is Dawlish, and they have a zoo for afflicted animals. Oh. And that reminds me of the Def Leppard, because I went there once. I think I was holidaying with friends, and they had a specialized zoo for animals with certain sort of peculiarities to them. So I seem to remember there was a blind lion, and the highlight, I think, was a parrot that had a stutter.
Yes,
that was wonderful.
It was wonderful. Also, if you forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe reading in a pamphlet when I was down in Devon once that they had a crab that had anorexia.
Good Lord. An anorexic crab.
That's right.
Good Lord. Good Lord. So, but just for those watching, for the purists, we've just passed through Prone, which is and dreadful graffiti. Did you notice on that bridge?
Awful graffiti.
I don't know why anyone would
see this, F that.
I know. Why would anyone in their right mind these days say fuck Richard Whiteley? I mean, he's not even around anymore.
He's been dead for years, unless, of course, it was a conundrum.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so you sort of rearrange the words within the 30-second remit. And it probably says something like, Richard lives nearby, he's a good egg.
Yes, probably something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Now, if you look on your right, if you look on your right there, just passing it now. I was hoping you might know what that was. I have
no idea, old boy.
No idea myself. So yes, so you've taken this journey to see Death the Leopard.
Death the Leopard, yes, lots of times. Yes, they eventually let me go. I'm afraid because I was arranging pyrotechnics for their Wembley Arena show, and I'm afraid I blew them up.
Good Lord, what? All of them?
Some of them.
And if we were to grade each band member into degrees of burns, I mean, do we start at 1 and go down to 5, or do we?
I'm afraid not. No, we start at 3.
We start at 3. Good Lord.
Yeah, they were supposed. I mean, it's a long story, but they were supposed to put the explosions on the other side of the stage,
right?
Not right in the heart of the band. They went bloody everywhere, Dick. Bloody everywhere.
Like Roman candles, I bet.
Absolutely. That was the support band, but yeah.
Yes. This is a lovely stretch of the journey here. I don't know if you've noticed. We're sort of going through sort of several industrial estates.
There's a palpable sense of melancholy.
Yes, I often think that when I'm on this stretch, when I've just left London, and until I reach a sort of next major city, I just think, good God, everything's so bloody pointless.
Oh yes. I mean, apart from my cottage,
right? No, that's still yours, isn't it?
Well, Flo and I share it. She has it 11 months of the year, and I get it for a week.
You get it for a week, yes.
Yeah, the other days the cleaner's in there doing something frightful.
Good Lord, yes. Well, I do have a story about this particular stretch of line. If
tell, I love train stories.
If you'll permit me, I think you'll quite enjoy it because it does have a slight sort of musical bent to it.
Yes.
It was what are we sort of now 28 minutes in? Yes, it was round about here in I'm going to say 1989, where I was on my way to Clippingford Den, which is one of the stops that we will come to. And because I had tickets, well, actually, I had won tickets to go and see Enya.
Oh,
who you know I'm an absolute fan of.
She's an absolute diamond.
She's a wonderful diamond in the rough, and I absolutely adore her.
I mean, rough being the appropriate word, oh boy.
You're absolutely bloody right.
Absolute pig. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, no, it's fine. Yeah. So yes, I'd won tickets, you see, to see Enya, and it was November. It was absolutely, I mean, literally pelting it down with rain, and then of course snow. And we were warned beforehand that there was a lot of snow out towards Skirting Combe and Fluffing on, but the train, did what it could. But of course, sod's law, round about 32 minutes into the journey, the train came to a creeping halt. We were nowhere near a station. The wonderful chappie on board, I think his name is Michael. He had a lisp, but you just take what you find, can't you? And he announced that there was ice on the tracks and the train was stuck, and hopefully we'll be on our way. Now, cut to 40 minutes later, and we still hadn't bloody moved an inch. The snow is now piling high.
Oh, I can imagine.
There's no way out of this. And I'm thinking, oh, bloody hell, I'm going to miss Enya now. I'm never going to make it in time. And, do I carry on the rest of the journey or do I just bloody book a taxi and come home? But of course, taxi would cost ridiculous amounts of money this far out.
Oh.
And there's no other way of getting back anywhere. So I just sort of kept mum, and I noticed there's a couple of other people with Enya t-shirts on. So I thought, well, they're probably heading same place I am. So we huddled together. Pleasant chit chat and all that. But after 2 hours, we were going nowhere. Now, I said to the train chappie, listen, we're going nowhere fast. Could I put on my Enya Best of CD? Because I know for a fact that they have CD players. This is way before mini discs. I know they have CD players in the train compartments that they often play the pre-recorded tannoy noises off. Now, of course, it's all digital, but back then it wasn't. And he said, "No, gosh, all right then, yes." And he started to, because we just thought we were here for hours, we might as well get the bloody Enya concert that we were promised. So we played Best of Enya, and that was going well for about 4 or 5 tracks. I mean, myself and the fellow Enya folks.
Sorry, someone just swore then outside. Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that. I think it might have been a farmer saying, how dare you go through my land?
Yes.
So, yes, just long story short, too late. The CD stuck.
Oh.
And the CD stuck on well, it wasn't even an Enya song because it was a best of. It was one of her covers. She was doing a cover of Come to Daddy by Aphex Twin, which is most
God.
And that's when it stuck. So all we had for the next 3.5 hours was just Enya going, come to daddy, 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 come to daddy. Come to daddy. And of course it wouldn't, it didn't shift, you see, and the poor bloody train guy couldn't open up the lockbox because it had frozen over. So for 3.5 hours, all we had was freezing cold temperatures, no food or drink, and Enya going, come to daddy, come to daddy, come to daddy. I mean, eventually the British Transport Police picked us up at 2 a.m, and we were all exhausted.
Christ, that sounds harrowing.
Yes, absolute nightmare. In fact, I didn't go on this line for about 8 or 9 months after that. I was absolutely haunted by it.
I imagine it's still in your head now.
Yeah, well, yes, quite.
Oh my God, did you see that? There was a scarecrow out there that looked the image of Martin Daniels.
Oh, good Lord, no, I missed that. Sorry, I was too wrapped up in my bloody story. It's awful because the whole point of a train, as you know, Ollie, is to notice. It's to notice things as you go along.
Like painting colours with your eyes.
Yes, like a sort of moving constable painting through the great British countryside. And I missed that. All I see now is bloody graffiti.
Oh, well, I was in the lavatory yesterday at your local.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Good Lord, the dog and gun?
The dog and gun. I was in there, and there was some awful graffiti in the toilets.
Oh, no. Would you... I mean, can you say some of it, or is it just far too?
Well, it was suck this, eat that, phone this number. Of course, I phoned it, and there was no one there.
So you didn't get to suck or eat anything?
No. Well, I had a mint in my pocket. That was all right.
Right. Good Lord. No, look, we just passed through phlegm, which is FFLEME, which is I believe a Flemish community that live there.
Phlegm is famous, you know.
Well, you can't bring up phlegm anymore without anyone going, "Oh, phlegm!"
People get very upset when you bring up phlegm.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Now we're going. There's of course here, just outside Phlegm, is this big industrial site.
I believe here is where they make sugar puffs.
Good Lord, really?
Yeah.
I bet you if you could roll down a window as you pass the sugar puff factory, you can smell, but it smells sweeter.
Oh, I bet it does. You know, here, when I was riding down here once, I once saw the honey monster being chased by men in white coats.
Good Lord, Ollie.
I think they were taking his sustenance, his vital essences to make sugar puffs.
So you were on a train and you saw the honey monster running along the
he was
next
running for
train.
his life. He was going over a barbed wire fence, the poor fellow.
Good
And he was being
Lord.
chased by men in white coats and hard hats who had bloody tranquilizer guns.
I say so. So the men with the old butterfly nets were after him, are they?
They were, I think it's what we're not supposed to know is that Sugar Puffs, very much like Turnham Green or whatever that film's called. The Sugar Puffs are made from the teeth of the honey monster.
Good Lord.
Oh.
Good Lord. Well, that all rings true to me because I think I seem to recall one of the original actors in the 70s who played the Honey Monster alongside Henry McGee.
Henry McGee, yes.
Was found wandering down the King's Road in half of the Honey Monster costume, babbling, tell him about the cocaine mummy. And I believe he got into a lot of trouble for that.
I bet he did. You're not supposed to tell him about that.
No, that's the one thing you don't is tell. Look, there's a 9834 coming on our right. There it goes.
Oh, I love that train.
There she is. That's a lovely train, the 9834. I'll tell you a wonderful fact about the 9834. It has absolutely no toilets.
Oh. So what does one do if one wants to
Well, the thing about the about that particular, it's a fast shuttle service. So you basically take it as mum that if you haven't been before you've got on, then unfortunately, then tough luck.
Yeah, that is a shame. But I suppose it's rather expedient, though, isn't it, in its service?
It's a 22-minute hop on, hop off service. So
you can probably hold it in. If
you can't hold it in for 22 minutes, then quite frankly, you shouldn't be on that bloody train.
No, absolutely not. No. Well, it reminds me of this area, this neck of the woods, of course, is where the Great River Killer used to strike back in the 70s.
Yes, I remember all the headlines about that on Radio Caroline and whatnot.
Yep, and Radio Luxembourg, which was Luxembourg and another service combined.
Yes, combined to make greater money. So this is where the killer was caught, wasn't it? Around this sort of.
He fooled the police, you see, because he was known as the Great River Killer, but he used to dump the bodies on railway tracks, so they never found them.
Good Lord!
They were only looking in the rivers, not on the trains.
So just because of the fact that he named himself the River Killer,
yes, and he bought himself about 4 years.
Yes, he must have. And you must have thought there must have been endless times during people's daily commute where the train had to stop because of a corpse on the line.
Well, yes, but they just thought these were people who got bally sad.
Yeah, people who were just fed up with it all and just jumped on the bloody tracks.
Yeah, but of course it was the Great River Killer. The police, of course, weren't linking the deaths because they were looking in the rivers where they weren't finding any of the bodies. So
nothing at all.
There was a cold case, you see, because they'd just given up on it because there was no bodies found.
And I believe the Great River Killer, I don't know how many chalked up, but I seem to, if I'm struggling to sort of remember here, was at least 17 or 18 victims, wasn't it?
It was 18.
18 victims.
Yeah, in fact, the only reason they caught him is because he took one of the, obviously confident in what he was doing, he took one of his victims on a train.
Right, took him on an away day, as it were.
Yeah, tried to put him down the toilet.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, you don't want to be putting a corpse down a chemical toilet, do you?
No.
Dreadful.
Yeah, so, I mean, the police now know that if a killer names himself something, then it's probably best to look at the evidence rather than just go by the name.
Yes, yes, or be absolutely resolute in your method of killing is absolutely in line with what you're doing. So you don't want to sort of wrong foot the boys in blue in that regard, don't you? If you call yourself the canal killer, then make sure you leave the bodies in a canal.
Absolutely.
If you call yourself the CNA killer, then make sure you hang your bodies up in CNA. Don't be messing around.
We should probably tell the ladies and gentlemen at home that we enjoy trains, of course. We enjoy riding on trains. We enjoy looking at trains, but we also have a very, very good train set at home, don't you? And I do as well in my attic.
Yes. Well, mine at the moment is unfortunately sort of knee deep in floodwater. I couldn't get the whole bloody thing into the shed. Luckily, the shed, as I said, I don't know if I mentioned, but my shed's on stilts. I had good sort of knowledge to get that sorted about 4 years ago. But of course, the ground floor to the flat is absolutely
Oh,
banjacks now. So I'd imagine a lot of my model village is now sort of underwater, which is a real shame.
well, it
Absolutely.
is. I mean, luckily you had the foresight to dress all your little men in scuba gear. Otherwise, they'd be dead now.
Yes, and I put several dinghies around in my model village, and just in case. But of course, I couldn't afford the mini sandbags, and I sort of regret that now.
Well, I told you. All you have to do is get a little pouch.
Right.
You have to go to a mouse's house, find where he keeps his rosemary and thyme.
Yes.
Empty the pouch. Leave a note.
Right.
Fill it with sand.
Yes.
Put it in the village.
You're absolutely bloody right. I should have paid attention. I remember you faxed me over that very information.
I sent you a very detailed fax, but of course it just dropped straight into the water.
Yes, it did. You're absolutely bloody right, Ollie. I am terrible sometimes at taking heed of good advice.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry I didn't offer you a room at mine.
No, that's quite all right. That is absolutely quite all right. I know that bed bugs can be an absolute bloody problem.
They're everywhere.
Yes, and you need to fumigate, and you need to leave.
I need to leave.
Where do you go during a lockdown? I mean, you've been forced to your own property now for a week.
Well, exactly, because I've got the log cabin at the end of the garden, but that's an Airbnb.
Yes, of course, yes, and that's fully booked, isn't it?
That's fully booked.
The British steak, eh? Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it looks like I should have been offering you a place of mine.
Yeah, and don't worry. I'll just say this now, Dick. I wasn't annoyed that you didn't.
No. Well, I'm glad. Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, there's hardly enough room to swing a atom of a cat. So I don't think you would have managed.
No, I just.
Two
Plus,
of us.
You know how I feel about sheds, sleeping in sheds. Of course, it brings back bad memories that I don't really want to think about.
That's back when you were managing the bands again, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a tribute act.
Right.
They were called Shed.
Right.
But they were a tribute act of ABBA because they wanted to go for a 4-word band. But their names were Steve, Helen, Enid, and Dennis. So they called themselves Shed.
See, that's where I think they went wrong because they should have gone. They should have gone for something that like ABBA that went one way, and then I always think if you're going to do a tribute act to ABBA, you should be called Baab, B-A-A-B. It's the same 2 letters, but simply reversed, and they read the same way back and forth, just like ABBA.
Yeah.
Shed doesn't work, does it?
It doesn't work. I told them this, but they insisted on it, and we did a reasonable tour of pubs and restaurants, and. In the end, they were all killed.
I know.
Oh, this is the bridge. This is that bridge.
Yes, this is that bridge. Oh, yes, that bloody bridge.
That bloody bridge.
We got another bloody bridge coming up ahead of us, but not as bloody as the first bloody bridge.
That one's not as bloody as the other one, is it?
No. The bloody bridge that we just passed is called the Bloody Bridge because the people who built it, well, it's a long story, but about 18 people died in the making of the bridge. Whereas with this bloody bridge coming up, only 4 people died in the making of the bridge.
Can you believe that?
Oh, look, we've just shunted over to another track.
Shunted over.
Yes, which means we're going to make a stop now, I believe.
Yeah, talking of stopping...
Yes.
Did you hear? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, rather a private conversation here. Did you hear about old Don Hong Kong?
No. Oh, good Lord, is he okay?
He's had to sell the chateau.
Oh no, Don Hong Kong loved his chateau.
I know. Yes, the bloody divorce.
Oh, she took it all, did she?
Took it all.
Well, she would, She would. I don't want to speak ill of Kiki. But I know for a fact that she not only would have taken up the bloody floorboards, but she would have unscrewed the bloody screws, keeping the floorboards down.
Look, there's the sex toy delivery farm.
Yes. Now we should say we have just stopped now into Larwich, and on your left you should clearly see that's just aside Larwich is in Little Larwich is I'm trying to remember the name of the company. They sell underwear and dildos and things like that.
With Libotech.
Libotech, which is
with an umlaut.
That's the one, and they've got tie-ins with Georgia Mazda and things like that, and they make sex toys, lingerie, and other stuff. I mean, I know for a fact that the people of Norwich are extremely embarrassed that they have this.
Well, funny you should say, the last time I was here, I saw a man in underpants being chased by men in white coats.
Good Lord!
Out of that factory.
Well, I'll tell you what, you might have been witnessing a bloody advert.
Oh dear.
Yes. So we have stopped now in Larwich. This is a sort of 2-minute unscheduled stop.
Dickie, are you going to have a biscuit?
No, I'm all out of bloody. The problem is, you see, is that I can't get to the house now.
Right.
Because of the water. So my lodger, Konstantin, he's rigged up a sort of pulley system where he can sort of I have no idea how he does it, bloody science. No. He can manipulate a sort of, it looks a bit like a clothesline, and with the judicious use of a peg. Oh look, hang on, there's a 920 shunter going past there. Beautiful. Constantine can shuttle various foodstuffs across the line to my shed, but there is a weight aspect ratio. So anything heavier than a Jacob's cream cracker, and I'm afraid it goes straight into the drink.
You see, I've got a similar problem at mine. Is that my lodger, Darcy, can bring me things, but of course they're covered in the fumigation.
Yes, well, that's the thing. You see, everything in your flat cum house at the moment is actually poisoned, isn't it? To some degree.
Oh, absolutely. But apparently, if I eat it or drink it very quickly, I'm all right.
Oh, I see. There's something about the bodies.
Yes. Some nonsense about the 7-second rule or something.
I see. Absolutely. So,
but I think if you came here to stay, then perhaps you'd not. That wouldn't work, and you'd probably die. So, probably best you don't stay.
I think absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, also your 7-second rule sounds. I mean, do you have to drink like a boiling hot cup of tea in 7 seconds?
Yes, salty water.
Good Lord! So you have a boiling hot cup of coffee, let's say in the morning, and you've got to get that down in 7 seconds flat.
7 seconds flat.
Good Lord, your poor throat.
Oh no, it's playing merry hell with this wine I'm drinking right now.
Oh, I can only imagine. No,
I have to keep spraying it with bloody hand sanitizer.
Well, what I've been doing at the moment is Constantine has realised that the pulley system, as wonderful as it is, he can sort of pop an individual tea bag over my way in about 20 seconds, but man can't live on that alone. So what he's taken to doing now is using pot noodles, because they have a rudimentary ballast. And what he does is he pops them in the water. He leans out of the bay window, pops a pot noodle in the water, and then he uses a snooker cue as an initial thump, and the inertia sends that pot noodle sailing pretty much right to my door.
Oh, lovely. But how do you put the hot water in, or do you have them dry?
No, I do have a kettle in my raised shed. But unfortunately, it's obviously there's no electricity mains. Well, no, I do have electricity mains, but I daren't plug them in for fear of.
Oh my God! No.
So I'm on a battery system at the moment, a sort of rudimentary battery system, a sort of wind up Baco foil, sort of 1940s job, and if I wind that continuously for about 20 minutes, I get about an hour of power. So so it's been pot noodles for me for the last sort of 9 days now.
Well, I've been living on frozen food mainly. So last night I had lobster thermidor.
Right.
The night before we had oysters.
Right.
And the night before that we had chips.
I see, and again the 7-minute rule applies.
Well, I don't know if it does with frozen food.
Well, yes, I don't know really, because mind you, awful amount of microbes and all sorts of things survive being frozen, don't they? So
you think like botulism, you mean?
Well, I was thinking like mastodons and dinosaurs. They could live for years in permafrost.
Goodness, they did, didn't they?
So, a frozen bed bug.
You must, Dick. You must tell everyone your Loch Ness story.
Ah. Okay, if you insist, Ollie. I am the only man, I believe, in England, and this is the point: England, not Scotland, England.
Yes.
To win Best Baby Loch Ness. Now, this was a competition that was run in the late 50s, early 60s. It was extremely popular, where housewives would dress their children as Loch Ness and enter them into a competition. And I'm the only British baby Loch Ness.
English.
Sorry, English. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. No, you're right, Ollie. You're absolutely right. I'm the only English baby Loch Ness to actually win. I think it was 1956 I won, which caused an awful lot of consternation because I'm sure it's rigged. But the baby Loch Ness competition has been won by the Scots for the last 30, 40 years. And then
Inception.
And then up comes the old young whippersnapping Nessie himself.
Oh, Dickie English.
Young Dickie English, and steals the bloody crown. Yeah, so there is a picture of me actually in the Camden was it Camden Yawn or was it the Highgate Humphrey? Anyway, there's a local paper. There's a lovely picture of me in my Nessie costume.
You look beautiful.
It wasn't much, to be honest. My mum just put two dead goldfish on my eyes, and apparently that sprayed me green, and apparently that passed. But the picture's in black and white; you can't really tell.
No, it did the trick, didn't it? Because everyone else looked like a frightful mess.
Well, everyone looked bloody awful, and I won it. Of course, the Scots went absolutely ape, and then, of course, a few years after that, they actually banned the English from actually entering baby Loch Ness, and it became a Scots institute now. Didn't you know?
Well, look where they are now.
I mean,
we've just gone past the Royal Mail depot there.
Yes,
where the great train robbery, where the money came from.
Yes, you're absolutely bloody right. It was from that very depot, wasn't it?
Well, sort of. I think it came from Scotland, but they stopped there for a hand shandy,
right,
before going back to London.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're 52 minutes away from coming into London. That's possibly the best time to refresh oneself.
Best time, because once you get to London, of course, you're bang up for another.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you're right. Yeah. These stocks are replenished, and you're ready to hot foot it down to spearmint rhinos or whatever they're called.
Well, of course, Paul. You know what the Royal Mail's saying is the 4 L's.
What's that?
Logistics.
Right.
Logistics.
Logistics. Let me guess the fourth. Is it logistics?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yes. No, I did sense a pattern there.
Yeah, so that's what they're most famous for. So, of course, you need to plan ahead, or indeed plan.
Oh, look! You'll notice that the train delivering to Larwich, the adult toys had stopped there, and that's possibly due to a love egg on the line.
A love egg on the. That reminds me,
Yes.
When briefly I was in pop management. After I left the band 5 Star. No, before I was with 5 Star.
Oh, before you were with 5 Star?
Yeah, I was managing Matt Bianco. And do you know, Matt is a train nut.
I know this for a fact because you patched me through once via your phone to Matt. And he was banging on and on about some old rolling stock from Crew or something. All right, Matt. Good Lord, get a life.
When we were recording his 3rd album,
yes,
he wanted to record the entire thing on a train. So we had a whole carriage converted into a studio. And we got inside and he said, "Here we are. I'm going to record my album." And then we sat there and nothing happened. And he said, "No, I need the train to be moving."
What, in the studio?
In the studio. So we started moving, but of course, all that came out was the sound of the bloody train.
Ridiculous. I mean, to set all that up just for.
He wanted to call his album "Change on the Line."
Oh no.
Mm.
Oh dear. Well, I'm glad, and I presume you dropped him like a hot potato.
Well, actually, he dropped me because I couldn't facilitate his moving carriage nightmare.
Well, I don't blame you, Ollie. I mean,
Well,
how much money would that have taken?
I'm afraid I did get rather drunk and phone into Saturday Superstore when he was on, but we don't talk about that.
No, we don't. No. Well, listen, you had to vent, and vent you did, and bloody wrong with that. You know.
No, I mean we're back. Thankfully, we're back as friends now. Thanks to our joint love of trains.
Your joint love of trains, of course. Yes. Now we are, if I'm not mistaken, just over the crest of this hill. I'm hoping, unless it's been demolished, and fingers crossed, maybe it has. Just on the right, you should be able to see a cottage coming up rather soon. Maybe I'm a bit presumptive in
it may be behind these trees.
Yes, it might be behind the larch trees. No, it is behind the larch trees. It is behind the larch trees. And that is, of course, where my bitch of a sister, Selena, lives.
Has he got that bad again?
Well, I'll say this, Ollie. I'll only say this. A pair of Black Panther Wakanda socks does not a Christmas present make.
Oh, no.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
What did you get her?
Oh, I forgot, I think. Didn't get anything. But anyway, that's where Selena lives. Anyway, let's not talk about Selena, because the bloody thing with the twin sister, and she's, of course, she's 48 seconds older than me. She bloody thinks she knows everything.
Of course, holding that over you all these bloody years.
Constantly.
Do you know that there was a blue whale incident up here?
No, fill me in.
Well, I heard about this on a train up to Def Leppard in the 80s, that there was once a blue whale being transported from Edinburgh Zoo to London Zoo.
Right. Good Lord, that's quite the journey.
That's quite the journey. And they put it on a flatback carriage.
Right.
Strapped it down like King Bloody Kong.
Good Lord.
Brought it down and, of course, got stuck at the first bridge over there.
Oh, no. Oh, good Lord. So what, barely made it out of Edinburgh?
Well, they had to saw the thing up.
Oh, good Lord.
Took days.
So they sawed the bloody beast to bits, and then what, took it down to London and...
No, they kicked it into this ditch over here.
Threw it into a bloody ditch and just came back to London and went, sorry, we lost it.
But there was, as you can imagine, there was gridlock on the train line for 3 days.
Well, yes. I mean, the last thing you want is someone going, ding dong, sorry for the inconvenience, but there's a bloody blue whale on the tracks.
I mean, it's the last thing you expect to see, isn't it?
Well, yes, of course. The last bloody thing you expect to see.
And that's when Matt Bianco phoned me and said, I want to call my album that. And I said, don't be stupid.
Oh, no. Well, he wanted to call his album Partially Sliced Up Blue Whale on the Line?
Yes. The partially sliced in brackets, of course.
Yes. Well, yes. Well, yeah. Yes. Well, I'm so glad you got rid of.
Oh, he was such a nuisance.
He really was a nuisance, wasn't he?
But do you remember when we first met after you fell out of the car?
Yes.
And after the first night when we got drunk, and the next day we went on that lovely walk. Do you remember?
I absolutely do. And I will tell you this. I may have fallen out of a car, but I've actually fallen into 5 cars. Now,
into?
Yes, into. And that's quite the feat.
Yes.
Fallen into them. And I have to say, I daren't go into it, but I've fallen into 5 moving cars throughout my life. One, I think, was by accident. I think the car passed me and the wing mirror clipped my one of the threads on my waistcoat, and I got dragged in. The second time, I jumped into a car to avoid a charity worker on the street, because you know how I absolutely cannot stand those bloody charity folk.
Oh, bloody do-gooding bastards.
Well, you know,
pardon my French.
No, you're absolutely right, Ollie. I mean, 1 minute it's sight savers, 1 minute it's orphans with thrush. I don't bloody know. So I just jumped into a passing car, and that's of course how I met my third wife. So that was pretty good. Third time I don't remember because I was drunk. Fourth time I was thrown into a passing car, and that's why I divorced the third wife. And the fifth time I think was just a happy accident.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes that's the best way to be, isn't it? Happy by accident.
Yes, happy by. Do you know what? If you went through life just being happy by accident, I think you would have lived a long and full life. But of course, by accident.
By accident.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that Flo made her own yogurt?
No.
Oh, yeah, she did.
And did she do well with the enterprise, or?
No one was interested because she'd bring it up all the time.
Of course, yes. And of course, I'd imagine she went for all those new age flavors.
We had bloody wind chimes.
What, wind chime flavored yogurt?
Wind chime yogurt, dream catchers with yogurt on it.
Good Lord.
We had TPs. We had 2p, not 2ps.
Yes, that is the question. Just to let you know, those eagle-eyed train enthusiasts, we just passed a British Mark III Fleet 9827. A Wilmington stockline, which I believe is a 48-9N. Just for those who want to know.
I've got one of those in my loft, and do you know what? Rod Stewart came around and installed the line for me.
You lucky man. Rod, of course, is cut from the same cloth, isn't he?
Oh, he loves his trains. He has got the most incredible model train collection in his loft in his bloody mansion.
Yes, and he's got a sort of train set for every continent. So he's got one of New York, and he's also got one of Pyeongtaek in Kuala Lumpur, and he's got one in Sydney. And I believe I can't remember what the European one is. I think it's Vienna. If I'm
well, the European one's a bit dodgy, Dick.
Oh no, why is that?
Well, he has a party, and at the end of the night, he gets on the track and he gets the train to go up his bum. I'm sorry, I've got a mental image now of. He sings "Do You Think I'm Sexy?"
Well,
and then he gets on the train track doing the splits, leaning forwards, and the train goes right up his bum. Well,
I presume he doesn't go up his bum like it's being literally we're coming up to a tunnel now. So if we are the POV shot,
it's exactly like this. Yeah,
it goes right up his bum. Surely the
partially up his bum.
Well, I'd say barely a centimeter, surely, unless the train's going at quite the lift.
I'd say it's a good 5 or 6 inches up his bum.
So he literally, I'm just trying to get a mental picture of this. So geriatric Rod Stewart climbed aboard his model train set.
Yes.
I presume
at the end of the night,
after removing his tight trousers and underpants.
Sometimes it bursts through like some sort of West End act,
like some sort of awful posterior debut.
Yes.
So then he splays himself upon his own working model. I presume parting his cheeks so that his pink rectum represents some sort of through-line based tunnel.
Yes.
And then waits for his toy model train.
And it's timed perfectly with "Do You Think I'm Sexy?"
He times it absolutely perfectly. With the middle 8 of "Do You Think I'm Sexy?"
In the that bit, yes.
Can he? I would like it if he timed the diddle for the train to also go diddle. That would be lovely if he could do that.
That's exactly what he does.
Well, I suppose now I've created the mental picture, and now you've given me more detail. I suppose I can't really hold it against him. I mean, why not? It's something to do, isn't it?
I mean, it's not like it's offensive. Everybody watching, they applaud.
No, well, I've heard on the grapevine that Tanita Tanikaram does a very similar thing with her Suez Canal, but I can't go into any more detail.
Well, We probably shouldn't talk about our inside stories from the biz.
No, we should not. Well, no, I don't really have many inside
Oh,
stories.
no, I tell you them in good faith, though, Dick.
Much
So
more your department, Ollie, I'm afraid.
I've been to some parties, though. I remember another train enthusiast friends of ours, Pete Waterman. Pete Waterman.
Absolutely adores the train, doesn't he?
Absolutely loves the trains.
Yes. He's got
one.
No, go on. Well, I think we're about to say the same thing, but
I was going to say he's got one of those systems where your train brings you your cup of tea in the morning and that sort of thing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. He does have a little train system that chugs around his heart-shaped bed. Oh, listen, we're just passing through. Oh gosh, I didn't catch it, but I'd imagine
it's Little Quim.
Yes, we're an hour and 5 in, so that would be Little Quim, and there's a PC World on your left. Yes, he gets his tea delivered, doesn't he, by a choo-choo train?
Yes. And he's in his bath like bloody Arthur.
Yes.
And the train comes along with a little bubble bath, and it does a little toot as he takes the bubble bath.
Didn't you once say that you went round his house and he said you want a cup of tea? You said yes, of course. You were in the spare room. Yes. And after about half an hour, you went, "Where's the bloody tea?" And he went, "Bus replacement service." And
that's right. Yeah, a bloody bus came in the room.
Yes, little mini bus. Of course, the tea was cold, of course, by that point.
Cold as a stone.
Yes, stupid autumn.
I have to say, I know we're on a public forum, Dickie, but I'm not a fan of Pete Waterman.
I don't really have an opinion of him, neither here nor there. I mean, I suppose the one thing I can say about Peter Waterman is I absolutely 100% unequivocally adore his music.
Yeah, well, that's not in question, but
yes,
when you're at his house and there's trains everywhere. Now, I love trains. You love trains.
Yes.
But when you've got a train,
4834 just going past.
Oh.
Yes, I think what you're about to say, Ollie, is that there is sometimes, dare we say it, too many bloody trains.
When you've got a train coming in your shower asking you if you want, and it's not a normal train, it's Pete in a train costume asking you if you'd like more shower gel.
Yes, that's
too much train.
So Pete literally dressed like a locomotive.
Like a locomotive, yes.
Comes chugging and you're just in the shower, as naked
in the shower.
Intended.
As naked as God intended, yeah.
Trying to get on with a good, bloody wash up. And then choo-choo, in comes Pete.
Oh.
Dressed like a train. Oh, look, it's raining.
It's raining.
Raining, yes. Well, we are getting further north, as they say.
Yeah, well, we've just come out of Little Quim, so.
Yeah, yes, well. Yes, well, there's either two ways to come out of Little Quim, isn't there? Either soaking wet or bone dry. Can go either way. Yeah, you're right, Ollie.
Sorry, just a little cough.
A bit of your bronchitis there.
Yeah, it went down the wrong hole.
Yes, so.
But yeah, Pete Waterman, there's just too much train. There's the shower incident.
Train.
There's the time he asked me to go down and fetch a bottle of wine from the cellar. When I went down there, a bloody train was in there full of wine. I opened the door and wine just poured out.
Right. Well, hang on. What? So I just want to again conjure a picture of this, Ollie. Was the engine of the train full of wine, or was the compartments of the train literally
compartment
brim with wine?
When you pulled the handle to go toot toot, wine sprayed out like some sort of awful garish thing,
like some sort of Merlot fountain.
Yes.
Right. So you open the door, and suddenly, what? We're talking liters, gallons,
gallons.
Wine.
Of wine.
Yes, and you were covered in it.
Absolutely soaked.
Of course, first thing you bloody do is think, well, I'll have a shower then. And of course, sod's law, there he is again.
There he is again.
Choo-choo. Yes, it is exhausting, isn't it?
I didn't enjoy the 6 months I stayed there.
No, well, you were on the run at that point, weren't you?
Oh, God, yes. I think it was a very bad business decision. The old bloody bring smack job.
Yes, you'd invested in something that you shouldn't have, and then you had to sort of
disappear. Crime. Yeah.
Yes, crime. That was the one.
I invested in a robbery.
You did. Yes, you heavily invested in a robbery.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes, that was foolish.
But listen. Before people start judging you, Ollie, I'm gonna come down heavily on your side. If I, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may I say that Ollie Sachs was acting in rather good faith because he invested a lot of money in what he thought was a band called Robbery.
Robbery, yes.
And that's actually what happened, wasn't it, Ollie? You, in good faith,
yes,
thought that you had to put some money into kickstarting a band called Robbery, but what you were, in fact, investing money in was an actual robbery.
An actual robbery, yes.
And you weren't to know at the time. There's a 9843 just gone past there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So you weren't to blame, Ollie.
Well, luckily for me, the judge was a friend.
You're absolutely right. And he sentenced you to a few months of community service, but you managed to hide yourself away and sort of wait till it all died down.
Well, luckily for me, the community service was riding on trains.
Well, that's even better, isn't it?
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wonderful. Good Lord. I tell you what, I'd happily murder many people if I was sentenced to live on a train. I hereby sentence you to live on the 922 to Glasgow. Be like, oh, it's a fair cop, Your Honour. It'd be absolute pleasure.
I did go to Glasgow. I did, and I saw the factories they have there of heroin and iron brew.
Iron brew and heroin is, of course, what Glasgow is famous for.
And strangely, varnish.
Oh, I didn't know about the varnish. Is that the secret ingredient in iron brew?
I think it might be the secret ingredient for both.
Yes, it could very well be. I think it might have caught. It's almost like the Colonel Saunders secret recipe. What are you putting in your heroin? And well, it turns out it's iron brew and varnish.
Did you know there's a tunnel coming up here that was made by Wile E. Coyote?
The animated coyote. And I don't want to ever rain on anyone's parade, Ollie, but how does a two-dimensional animated carnivore in the Warner Brothers cartoons actually get to the point where it can physically build a bridge?
I think it's all about your pitch. I found this out early on in the music industry, is if you can fool the suits, then you can fool anyone. I
see. So Wiley gave a good pitch.
Oh, very good pitch, yes.
Now, you would imagine, knowing Wiley's history, that bridge being an Acme bridge would have collapsed immediately, wouldn't it? Because that's what he was known for.
You'd think so, but of course, knowing Wiley's history, the painting he'd have made actually would turn out to be a real tunnel, until, of course, he tried to go through it. When, of course, it turns into some sort of horrible nightmare of a wall that, signifying his very real struggle in life to ever succeed.
Yes, his internal nihilism, his inability to catch one bird. Yeah.
But Dick, talking of birds.
Yes.
Tell us, we've heard all about me and my music experience, but what about your varied life? Because when we met at the time, you were in the army, weren't you?
Well, territorials, yes. I've been a member of the Territorial Army now since 1967. It's something I do. Well, I'm called up only. Sorry, I'm just rather being waylaid by the station we're pulling into. I'm trying to get my bearings. We passed Larwich.
It's Bunny Futtocks.
It's Bunny Futtocks. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely welcome, because there's a lovely welcome break cafe on platform 4.
Oh, it's a lovely one.
Of Bunny Futtocks. Yeah, so I was a territorial man. You're only called up every year to do a month of duty. But I was rather unlucky every time I was, because the first time I was called up was during the Falklands War.
Yes. Oh.
Yes, and I have to say I wasn't prepared for that at all.
I'm not prepared for what the driver's doing right now.
No, well, it's obviously he really loves the route, and
Falklands, yes.
I was suddenly, my first. I was used to sort of doing naval or army exercises in Purfleet, and then suddenly within 2 weeks, I was shipped off on the arse end of Argentina. Into the Falklands, and I managed to fight alongside Simon Weston.
Oh my goodness! Really?
Yes, before the whole perishing incident.
Hmm.
They always say, don't they, that quite often a dog looks like its owner, which I dread to see what Simon's walking in the park. But yes, I served with Simon, and that was harrowing. And then a couple of
Of
months
course,
later,
his official portrait after the war was done by Picasso, wasn't it?
yes, and it was the only portrait to be done as a magic eye, and you had to stare at it. And of course, when you heard people screaming, you knew that they'd saw it. And that was the way. And then a couple of years after Falklands, I got involved in Northern Ireland, and there were some terrible things going on in Northern Ireland. Dreadful things going on in Northern Ireland. I mean, I think the most dreadful thing for me is they didn't have any Marmite, but awful. I mean, the troubles really do get you when you can't have a yeast-based spread in the morning. And
I mean, talk about troubles.
Well, yes.
Was it troubles or was it tribbles? I can never remember how it all started.
No, you see, there's the troubles. There's the Star Trek, the trouble with tribbles. And I too often get them mixed up. Yes. Although
Jerry Adams in Star Trek.
No, I think Jerry Adams was involved in Thunderbirds at that point. So,
you're right, of course, and Stingray, etc.
I just didn't get involved. And then after the Northern Irish problem, I came back, and then there was the whole Chechnya thing, and I was every single time I was called up, it was in the middle of absolute blood, death, and guts, and awful, absolutely bloody awful, I have to say. So
after the Chechnyan thing,
I'm a member of the Territorials, and I will go wherever the Queen tells me.
So after the old TA, what did you do with your time?
Well, I'm still with the TA, but now in a much more liaison-based position. They're saying that now I'm not active on the field. I'm more office-based. Of course, the last time I was office-based was when London was attacked during its own 9/11.
Of course, on 11/9.
Yes, that's the one. And of course, I was pretty much on one of the buses that got hit.
Oh goodness! What with the price hikes?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It got severely hit, and I luckily I walked because of that. And yes, I managed to dodge all the problems. But
you can't put a price on cardio, of course.
You can never put a decimal point or a pound sign on heart-based resuscitation.
No. Oh goodness, there's a scarecrow that looks just like Emo Phillips.
Ollie, I keep missing these beautiful scarecrows that you keep seeing. Oh, that's such a dash shame. So so in between product testing for Witch Magazine and being a member of the Territorials, 5 divorces to one's name. I've just been, to use train parlance, chugging along. Just doing one's best. Doing one's best.
That's all you can do, Dick.
Now, listen, here's a lovely thing. On your right, see that bit of arable land on your right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Now, you'll notice the color now is a sort of beige, nothing. That was one of the largest gypsy sites in between Larwich and Clipford Den in up until 2018.
Goodness, where did they all go?
Well, this is the thing. It took 4 years for the farmer who was growing rapeseed oil at the time, and he couldn't shift them. I'm talking at least 4,000 members of the traveling community all ended up there.
Crikey.
Yes, and it didn't matter how many police got involved or how many orders of this, the traditional get off my bloody land, they would not shift.
Well, that's I don't know. Is that very? Would we call that forward thinking these days, Dickie, or would we say that was rather regressive? Or how do we feel about that?
I would say that the traveling Romany community deserve the right to have their own land. I just don't think that land should be in the UK.
Right. Okay. Good.
Good.
Yes.
somewhere, maybe the Isle of Wight or Guernsey, or somewhere where they can spread out and settle.
Do you know who was very popular with the Romany community as a comedian in the 1980s?
No, hang on. I'm going to take a guess.
Go on.
I'm going to say Duncan Norvell.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Because
of course he could perform multiple caravans by shouting "Chase me" through the door and running off.
I see. So he'd start his gig off in one static caravan. He'd go, "Chase me," and then he would run from one caravan to another, shout his catchphrase, and thus build up an audience repartee.
That's right. Yes.
And did anyone ever catch him?
Yes, I believe they beat him quite severely.
See, that's the problem, isn't it? If you're masquerading as a man of the night, you are going to get caught occasionally, aren't you?
Well, I think it's not even that. I think it's just the question. It's the question of challenging someone to chase you, and when they indeed catch up with you, what then happens? I mean,
well, if it's a race, I'm presuming the person chasing him takes him over like a sort of young virile Zola Bud, and they win the fictitious race.
Oh, careful, Dickie! You remember what happened to Zola Bud? Or
no, I don't. No, gosh, it's something.
She pushed someone off the track, didn't she?
She pushed someone onto a train track.
That's right. Someone's just swearing again.
Yes, I picked that up too. I reckon it might be. I think it might be the driver, and he's opened his packed lunchbox, and basically he's gone, "Oh, not pilchards again."
Yeah, I would hate to have pilchards.
Well, I don't. I can't think of any time where pilchards are an acceptable meal. Do you?
No.
I know they're a stalwart of the British packed lunch, in brine or tomato sauce, but quite frankly, I find them abhorrent.
He's still upset about his pilchards, I can hear.
You're actually genuinely upset about pilchards. Probably got a boiled egg without any salt on it.
I need to do something here, Dickie, because I'd rather lured you here under false pretenses. Because
this is your life, is it?
No. I just noticed that a few people are watching on, so I just wanted to tell everybody listening that Dickie here, our lovely Dickie Moon, has just received an award.
Oh, come on now.
No.
Don't bring it up. Come on.
I can't think of anyone more deserving of this particular award. Dickie, would you like to tell everybody what it was?
Oh, if you insist. I am a member of the Horticultural Society for vegetable growing, and there is a subsection of said Horticultural Society which is not, we try to keep it under the radar, as it were, a bit hush, where I won the best prize for a vegetable shaped like a man's penis.
And it was a whopper.
It was an absolute whopper, wasn't it?
A whopper.
I was so impressed with how this, it started off, which I thought was going to be a common pumpkin, but it turned out to sort of be a genus of the pumpkin, like some sort of gourd or something. It was a wonderful thing, and the detail around the glands, I have to say, the way that the shell of the root vegetable developed that natural lilt betwixt shaft and glands. It even had a raised rim edge along the peel, and when I cut open the top, I remember the judge at the time saying, "Oh, you're going to circumcise it, are you?"
Yes, because the judge, of course, was Leslie Joseph from Birds of a Feather.
Leslie Joseph, who's got a potty mouth and a potty brain and a potty body.
Sounds like a sailor hitting his thumb with a hammer.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what the problem with Leslie is. It's that she is one of the original loose women, should I say. And quite often she'll cut off her nose to spite her face, but she'll keep going, and she'll sometimes cut off her head to spite her neck. She said, "Good Lord, I wouldn't." I remember exactly what she said, because everyone turned blue. She said, "Good Lord, I wouldn't want that swimming up my arse." And of course everyone went, "Oh no, come on." I mean, and so I won because my marrow looked exactly like a sort of green penis. And in
It
second
looked
place,
like the Hulk's cock, didn't it, Dickie?
that's what you said when I sent you a fax of it. You said, "Look, it's the Hulk's cock."
Mm.
And second prize, I believe, was I think. Actually, no, I can't quite recall. I think second prize was a pair of Satsumas that looked a bit like tits.
There was a courgette, I seem to remember.
There's a courgette that they swore blind had the exact dimensions to Eamon Holmes' penis.
Yes.
Although we never got that fact checked.
Well, we sent it to him, but he ate it. He didn't compare it.
Yeah, so
he thought it was a curly whirly, and he ate it.
Yes, but anyway, to cut a very long, tawdry story short, I am the first prize winner of the most erotic vegetable. Yes, thank you.
I was very proud of you, Dick.
I know you were, and I do have a rather secret recipe at the moment, which I'm trying to, if I can, grow parsnips into a sort of variety of I want to say cocks through the ages. So I want to go from
Henry VIII is a beauty.
Oh, I'm Henry VIII. I am. No, you're absolutely right. But I'm trying to get a representation of a penis from childhood to old age to death, but cut from the same genus of parsnip. It's jolly hard. I've got the baby's dick, and I've got a 9-year-old, and I'm up to about a 15-year-old, but I'm really struggling to find a mid-30s cock at the moment.
Well, the garden shall giveth, you know.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Spring's eternal, Dickie. So
yes. Summer is a cometh in, ludicine cuckoo, as I believe the old song. Yes, but at the moment they're all just propagating on the windowsill because I can't get them outside now because of the old frost. But yes,
COVID, of course.
Yes. Have you ever thought about entering? Do you have a green finger, Ollie, or are you very much a city boy?
Only when I went on that date with grop bags, of course. No, I'm an absolute duffer in the garden, I'm afraid.
Really?
Yes, I get. I've got a gardener called Clementine who I bring in once a month to tend to the garden. Of course, with COVID, I just lock the door when he's out there.
Yes, of course. Just for those watching, we have now gone through the town of Skirtingcombe, which is a lovely old. I want to say Norman town. I think it might be Norman in its.
I think it is. I think
Yes.
there was a settlement there.
Yes, absolutely. I think there was a Roman settlement before, and there was a Norman and a Saxon, and then as is, and of course we're completely now out of Skirtingcombe. It's a very small town, but it's got a lovely it's got a lovely hedge maze in.
It's where Boadicea famously ran over a hedgehog, and then the hedgehog asked her to remove the spike from his paw.
Yes. That's a sort of Aesop's fable stroke.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's a lovely story.
Of course, she just kicked it to death.
Well, yes, of course, she was barefoot at the time, so that would have hurt.
Very much so.
Yes, she wasn't allowed shoes, was she?
No.
I thought she was. Lady Godiva was much more based in the south. Or am I wrong?
Well, she got the train up to north, of course.
Oh, I see. She got one of those old sort of like post-medieval trains.
Yeah, they ran on cheese, I think.
Yeah, cheese or something. I mean, there's a lot of talk in historians that ley lines, as we now call them, were actually rudimentary train tracks of the day. Of course,
you can often see them at the side of main lines, can't you?
You can, yes. Ley lines flow up and down the country. Look, there's a 92.3 shunter.
Oh, it's a beauty. You know, Richard Branson has one of those on his island.
Oh, does he now? Yes, of course. And he can go back and forth. I mean, the problem is...
It goes 10 yards, Dickie.
Yeah,
10 yards.
10 yards and the journey's over.
Yeah, it goes to the shops and his house. That's it.
Yes. He's the only... I he's the only man I know that's moved to the tropics, but still insisted on having a Nissa store.
Oh,
on the island. And
he bloody loves it's Panda Pops, Dickie. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
He can't get away from, he always wants these Panda Pops.
You would think it would be filled with virgin cola, which is one of his.
Oh no, he didn't like that at all.
Oh really?
I had a brief dalliance with Dickie Branson in the mid-90s.
You've met?
Yes, yeah. Well, one of the bands I was managing was, of course, signed to bloody Virgin Records.
Oh, do tell all, Ollie. I want to know about Dickie.
Well, they didn't do very well. They were called Werewolf.
Right, I see.
Yes, and they were all boy band, but they all, of course, had big beards.
Right.
Yes.
So big hairy, astute boy band.
They were very hairy. They were like Northern Uproar, but they could have facial hair.
I see.
And they sang songs about love. There was always a slightly dark turn, a bit like Annie Lennox's song about Mr. Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
They were that sort of thing. They were goth, I suppose you would say. But, Dickie loved them. He had them in his office, and he made us come in every 10 minutes to recreate that Kit Kat advert.
Right, yeah.
Every bloody day. He wanted that Kit Kat advert to be so real, he'd recreate it. But anyway, Werewolf, we released 2 singles. One was in a scene in Biker Grove. Do you remember Biker Grove?
I do, yes. I remember Biker Grove, yes. Wonderful.
Yeah, there was they were in a scene in Biker Grove playing in the background while Jeff was, I don't know, giving birth or something. And then the second single, I'm afraid, only came in at about number 58. And Dickie, being the mercenary, is downed a blue Panda Pop, which I believe was like cola flavored or something, neon cola.
Yes. Good Lord.
And then he wiped his hairy mouth and he said, I'm going to have to put a silver bullet in your werewolf.
Oh, no, I say.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
and I said, well, I don't hold it against you, Dickie, but it's a cutthroat business and that's fine.
Yes, well, he's learnt the hard way, hasn't he? Oh, Dickie, about business. He's the only man I know who wants to spend as much time as possible trying to get away from his money. Whether it's hot air balloon or spacecraft, he seems to be obsessed with trying to get as far away from his money as humanly possible.
The first time I met him, you know what he said? He said to me, Ollie,
yes,
I want to die.
Oh, and you went, well, carry on doing what you're doing.
Well, I assumed because he was holding a T-shirt and some food coloring that he meant dyeing the color of the clothes.
I see. Yes,
but no, I think he genuinely wants to be dead.
Right. Well, I at the moment, I mean, he had that dreadful fire not so long ago, didn't he, on his island?
Yes, I believe that he said that on himself.
Well, I heard
pubis on fire.
I heard that because obviously he's got his little Nissa shop there, that he was warming up a Cornish pasty in the microwave, but he accidentally put a pastry fork next to it, and that caused a dreadful fire that just then ripped through the bloody mangroves and palm trees and caused his predicament, as it were.
Well, of course, it doesn't matter to him, does it?
No, it doesn't bloody matter. He just jump in the bloody sea. He's probably got about 9 submarines in there or something, isn't he?
Well, whereas you and I would be frantically running around picking up our heirlooms and porcelain jugs and horse brasses.
Yes,
the man's just like, I'll just buy them again.
Yeah, I'll buy them bloody again. I don't care. I'll probably live under the sea. He could do that, couldn't he?
Yeah, you know who designed his summer house, of course.
No, go on.
Don Hong Kong.
It all comes back to lovely Don.
Well, Kiki had a hand in it.
Did she? Oh, what in the design?
Yes, Don's a foundation man.
Of course, yes, yes.
But Kiki was very much about the curtains and the footstools.
She was the chintz and the oddments. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you'll notice now, as we go just underneath this bridge, there, you'll notice now there's a sense of bleakness because you're now through the Midlands and you're now very much going up north.
Hmm.
So that sort of bleakness now just sort of settles very gently on you throughout the rest of the journey. There's just a general sense of ennui, a sort of sense of hopelessness, and a sort of sense of up, things will get better. But
There's a heartbreaking tale coming up at this junction here, of course.
oh, of course, it's that junction, isn't it? Oh, Ollie, are you sure you want to bring that up? Because I know that there aren't many. I'm going to say this: there aren't many men I know who can actually lose an alpaca on a train.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know how it happened because you did book it a seat.
Yes.
And you were first class.
I was feeding it a sandwich.
Yes.
And then I got distracted. And then gone.
And we're coming up now to the very bloody place where it just disappeared. It's like the Bermuda Triangle for
alpacas.
For alpacas, isn't it?
That was the third one I'd lost in 6 years.
I know. I just don't know how you can keep losing an alpaca because they're quite a hefty beast.
There's something about them that's a bit wily, though.
There must be. There's something a little bit skittish, a little bit shy.
They're a bit like turkeys in that respect.
Yes, possibly. Do the Peruvians maybe eat alpaca for their Christmas din-dins like we do the turkey?
It might possibly be so.
Because I'd hate to find the wishbone on an alpaca.
I'd imagine it would be in the normal place.
Yes, well, I suppose you're right. Yes, I mean, can you cook with giblets of an alpaca? Would you want to cook?
Are they in the bag?
I have no idea, Ollie. I really don't know.
I've never cooked one, Dickie.
No, well, I don't blame you. So we are going to be pulling up now to the fateful station where you lost your alpaca.
And also, years later, where Flo told me the terrible news that she wanted to leave me.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think you knew it was coming.
Well, her new husband was with her.
Her new husband was already with her. They were a good year down the line, weren't they?
Yeah, at least.
They'd already been married and had their first child.
It was a lovely wedding, though, wasn't it, Dickie?
It was absolutely. I watched it all on Betamax.
Yes, I videoed it for you.
Yes, and it did look absolutely lovely.
I mean, of course, I made a few quid from doing the wedding video.
Yes, and you also managed rather cleverly at that time. I think it was your last big act, but you managed to get Right Said Fred to perform.
That's right. Yeah, Deeply Dippy they sang 6 times because it was Flo's favourite song.
Flo's favourite song, Deeply Dippy. And you changed your lyrics, didn't you?
Yes.
Or they changed your lyrics. So Deeply Dippy about your wedding dress, Flo. Off you go, off to get married now. Shame about the bastard who you married then. His name's Glenn. He might be a pedophile. Yes, I remember the song. Yes, I remember the song.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I was best man, and it didn't go down very well, but
no,
I think he saw the funny side.
Eventually, I mean, you were the best man, but at the time, Ollie, you felt like the worst man.
Well, I was the man cast aside. I was yesterday's news.
You were tomorrow's fish and chip paper, weren't you? Isn't it lovely, though, that as we come to this rather sort of somber story in your life, that the train has actually come to a halt, almost as if it's in mourning?
I'd like to think we all are for this particular juncture because there's 3 alpacas out there somewhere lost and scared.
Yes, and of course they have quite long lives. So I would imagine at least the 3rd alpaca could, if it didn't perish, she's still kicking around somewhere.
We have a yellow light now, of course, which is a nice segue into the fact that you have a whole room in your house that's entirely yellow.
I do. Yes, I do. I'm an absolute yellow is a color that brings out something in me that no other color does. To me, it's the color of lemon, but to 2 of my ex-wives, it's very much the color of urine.
Right.
Which I think citrus, and they think diabetes. It's such a shame. I love yellow. It's such an uplifting color. I think that's why I constantly buy bananas. I mean, I don't eat them because I absolutely abhor them, the taste. But I love the color of them. I love bananas so much. I often just pop them around the house as sort of ornaments.
Well, the thing about your yellow room that I really like is it reminds me of the sun coming up in the morning and, of course, the sun going down at night. So it's this kind of cyclical thing of life where
dawn and dusk of one's life.
Dawn and dusk, yes.
That's a lovely thought.
And of piss, yes.
Yes. Well, yes, there is that. Of course, at the moment, all my rooms in the house have now gone a sort of awful beige,
beige and browny colours, very muddy. You showed me the photographs.
Yeah, it's very muddy. Well, I showed you the pictures of my study, and there's a couple of ducks swimming around my Dickens collection. I think they might have made a nest in my David Copperfield, which is such a shame.
It's a bleak house, isn't it?
It's a very bleak house, Ollie. You're absolutely right. So, I mean, I will repaint. I hope Constantine will join in with the painting. He apparently does not also like the color yellow for numerous reasons. Apparently, it reminds him of being at home in Russia. The color yellow, something to do with cowardice and gulags and God knows what. I don't really pay any attention, but I'm hoping you'll help me repaint because I find the color yellow extremely uplifting.
Well, Dickie, let me ask you this question: does he enjoy living in your house?
Well, he's enjoying it now because he's got the whole place to himself.
Does he enjoy the very generous rent that you ask him to pay?
Yes, he's very much appreciating the fact that he pays next to nothing.
Next to nothing, quite frankly.
He's in charge of bills and cleaning. Of course, there's been no bills or cleaning. There's no bills at the moment because we're cut off because there's no gas, no electricity. And of course, cleaning, obviously, he can't do because the place is festooned in water. But of course, come a couple of weeks when the water levels go down, he's going to be faced with an awful amount of cleaning. I'm hoping he stays on.
I'd imagine he would just purely for the rent, dear boy.
Well, I hope so. Yes, he's getting away scot-free, isn't he, really?
Well, he's got a famous dad, of course.
Constantine, are you sure we should be mentioning this on the public forum? We don't want
I think we can subtly hint at it.
Well, over to you, dear boy. I don't want to get caught in a Cold War crosshair, as it were.
Right. Well, I'll just say, I'll put in this word here. This train here, of course, is a freight train.
Yes.
That's delivering oxygen.
Yes. Well, of course, and you'll notice it's heading to London. Where else? Nowhere else.
Well, it's the heart of the capital, Dick. So where else would oxygen go?
Yeah, you're absolutely bloody right. And of course, where else would you need it? Listen, when it comes to Constantine, I've just had a quick think over in my head. He did go to Salisbury a lot, didn't he?
Oh, a bloody lot. He loved those chapels and cathedrals.
He kept going. He kept saying, I need to go do a recce of Salisbury. I've got a couple of cousins coming. And I just want to check out that it's all fine for them. Of course, I paid no attention at the time.
Didn't you catch him pissing in his own mouth once?
Yes. This was a trick that he'd learned when he was on the streets in St. Petersburg. He would sit cross-legged on the floor in subways and urinate into his own mouth, which apparently in Russia is considered as a good sign of luck.
Oh.
So he used to make quite a lot of rubles at that.
Well, I had experience with this. Do you remember that band Tattoo?
Were they the two ladies who would?
They were the two ladies who would often kiss each other. Yes,
kiss each other, being naked and frolicking.
Yeah, they had a song called "All the Things I Said, All the Things I Said," coming through my head.
Yes, I seem to remember it. Yes,
I think they were from Russia, and I managed them for a week. Because I'd been
Tattoo for a week.
Just for a week, yes. I'd been kicked off the Cheeky Girls because Lembit Opik was getting fairly jealous of the fact that that I was near his two ladies.
I see.
And because he looked like a sort of broken door ornament, he was worried that I might gain some traction there.
I see.
Yeah, so I went and managed tattoo. I was recommended by said cheeky girls. And there was a big Russian thing going on there because on their first gig, someone said they didn't like them and their head was cut off and they were put in a transit and driven into the river Nile.
Right. Good Lord.
Mm.
That is specific.
Mm.
So there's a silver 82 there just gone past.
Oh, I love the silver 82. They used to have ducks painted on them.
They did. Yes. You're absolutely right. There was the mallard and
the drake.
The Drake, yes, you're absolutely right. The Drake, of course, was
the Donald.
The Donald, yes, that one kept getting into trouble, didn't it? And
the Howard,
and of course the Howard, which is only ran for 4 months in 1986. Yes. But anyway, they're wonderful rolling stock. This is the lovely thing about these sort of journeys, Ollie, is you get to see all of life out there. Look, there's a little white van there.
I saw that. It looked like a man taking a rolled up carpet with feet sticking out of the back.
Yes, probably some sort of visual artist or something.
Probably a visual artist or a mannequin or something.
Yes, or just probably setting up another one of those scarecrows that you keep seeing.
I saw one while we were talking a minute ago.
Did you?
It was the spitting image of Eddie Kidd.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised, Ollie Sachs, if you aren't a little bit like that child in The Sixth Sense, except you keep seeing scarecrows.
Oh my goodness!
So
that would be something, wouldn't it?
Think on.
Well, I'd like that because when I go to the gates we should probably talk about this because we're nearing the end of our journey.
We are approaching York very soon. Yes.
When we reach St. Peter, the old Bally Gates, which, let's be honest, Dickie, probably isn't that long away.
No, you're right.
The amount of bloody booze we drink. Sorry, the driver's swearing again. When we get to St. Peter's, I'd like to say that I could do something unique. So if I went there and said I see scarecrows, I think that would be lovely. What would you say to St. Peter when you saw him?
I suppose the first thing I'd say is about bloody time. About bloody time. And then possibly a rather tentative pull my finger.
Really?
And see how that goes.
Do you think that would go down well? Or?
That's the thing. I don't know. Does he have a sense of humor or not? I mean,
well, we just don't know. If
the pull my finger joke doesn't pull its own weight, then I suppose I go down to the hot place.
Do you think that's more of a thing for the man who lives in the basement, do you think?
I'm not entirely sure, Ollie. I really don't know. I mean, I've often thought, do you think there might be trains in heaven? I hope so.
I bloody hope so.
I hope so.
Well, I know Rod Stewart tells me there is.
So he's said it on good authority that there's definitely
He's had a seance. He had a seance with Jimi Hendrix.
And Hendrix has confirmed.
Hendrix says he gets the train every day.
So
I don't know if that's a heroin thing, though.
Oh, it could be him just talking a load of old Billy bullshit.
He might be talking about train tracks on his wrists, or I don't know,
chasing the Chinese dragon and talking nonsense. Because even if we have wings in heaven, I still hope there are trains.
Oh God, I hope so.
I'm hoping that maybe the trains have little wings.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
And the tracks also have little wings, so you're
and
still
the platforms on a cloud.
Yes, exactly. I can see it now. This is the 822 from Cloud 9, not stopping at Hell.
No.
Or my bitch sister Selena's house.
Or Flo's garden.
Flo's bloody Japanese rock garden.
And I paid for.
Yes, well, and poisoned, and not stopping at boohoo or misery.
No.
You know, and no bus bloody replacement service.
No, we don't want any buses in heaven. That's a hellish thing.
Well, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, Ollie. I would imagine that if you're in hell, it's all just a bus replacement service.
You know who I saw the other day?
Let me guess. Sally Gunnell.
No, Ken Hom.
Ken Hom.
Ken Hom.
Now, has Ken ever thought in his career to maybe branch out from Asian cooking into other areas?
He was telling me.
I've never seen him, for example, make a shepherd's pie.
He told me the other
Yes.
day that he's getting really into making fish and chips.
Yes, but is he putting a sort of Asian twist on it?
No. He said, I can't be asked for that. He said he was going to make traditional British fish and chips, and he said he was getting a fryer, and he was going to leave it in the same oil for 5 weeks to make it proper traditional. Yeah.
So he's turned to traditional British fare.
Yeah. He also said he was producing a bloody YouTube show.
Really? I see. Good Lord. And what's all that about? Is that more of his cooking, or has he branched into into something else?
I didn't want to ask because I was bored when he was talking about it.
Bored to bloody death, yeah. No, well, I don't blame you.
He was saying all this through my letterbox.
Oh, he was really bellowing through your...
Well, yeah, he lives next door to me, you see, and he had a Amazon bloody parcel. And I tried to explain to him about the contaminants, but...
Yeah, he wasn't having it.
He was just going on and on.
And did you have a cursory peek in it? Because I can tell you now, the parcel may well be 3 foot by 2 foot, but all that's inside is a pair of bloody chopsticks.
It's a pair of chopsticks, yeah.
It's a complete waste of packaging and material.
Yeah. Well, I hit him in the end. I hit him on the nose with a fly swat.
Oh, that told him.
I was so worried about the contaminants.
Well, yeah, and I don't blame you, Ollie. And quite frankly, if you're delivering chopsticks to a man's house, you can just pop them through the keyhole. You don't even need to wrap. You don't need to wrap them.
Shoot them through the keyhole like they're bullets.
Yes, surely that's the way to do it.
Well, he ran off rubbing his nose, saying something like "fuck off."
Right. Yeah, well, you did hit him rather harshly on the nose with the fly swat.
Wouldn't listen to me talking about him being a contamination risk.
Well, yeah, Ollie, you've got to be bloody careful these days. I mean, at the moment, when it comes to me going out, I've got a bag for life on both my feet, a bag for life on both my arms, and a bag for life over my head.
Well, that makes you immortal, doesn't it?
Well, I feel like Flash Bloody Gordon when I'm out there, but apparently they keep telling me in the supermarket to take the bag off because apparently it's scary. But I'm like, well, I'm trying to protect myself.
Did you get your vaccine letter?
No, not as of yet. I got my local doctor is rather into Banksy, I actually got it scrawled across my brickwork as some sort of graffiti motif. So which I was like, okay, I better take notice. But then some local art group have said, "Can we buy your wall?" I'm like, well, no, sorry, it's load bearing.
You know what I did once?
Right.
I met Banksy at an awards ceremony.
Now, hang along a loo, Ollie. You cannot bandy around that you've met Banksy because nobody knows who he bloody is.
He had a balaclava on, obviously.
Well, I'll tell you what. You were talking to Banksy.
Yeah. I said to him, you see that man over there?
Yeah.
It was Ted Griffiths, the head of Polygram Records.
Right.
He's been a pain in my ass for years.
No, you've mentioned him before, yes.
So I got Banksy to go to his house when he was asleep. Yes. And paint something on his face. And now Ted lives in a lockup.
Right.
Because some bloke in Asia bought his face.
And of course, he has to
stay in a lockup with lots of artwork. So
he's a living piece of art now.
He's a living piece of art. So I thanked Banksy for that. It was very shrewd, I thought.
Yes, I seem to remember a story about that. It's the first time I've ever seen a sign above someone saying, "Don't feed the art."
That's right.
Well, that'll be him then, won't it?
He was fed on dead bees.
Just dead, dried bees. I suppose bees have got a certain amount of honey in them, so I suppose they're quite good for you.
Yeah, they're like chocolate eclairs that you get in the old Heroes.
Oh, yes, no, that's a lovely analogy, Ollie. You're absolutely right. Yes, just like the chocolate
I'm
hero.
getting my vaccine on Tuesday, Dickie.
Oh, aren't you lucky?
Well, I am over 76, so
That's true. Now, which one are you going to have? Are you? I hope it's the British Oxford one. I don't want you getting.
I'm getting Oxford in the arm, and I'm getting Vugsprang durch technique in the anus.
Right, I see. And what are you getting? What are you getting for your 3-week top up?
Martini,
Whatever's bloody going, I suppose.
Whatever's going, I said. Just I'll
Yeah.
chuck you a tenner. Just give me the top up, and then do the windscreens before I go.
Well, I said to my local chappie, I said, listen, when you've stopped bloody defacing public property, can we talk about my vaccine, please? And he went, yeah, and he went something along the lines of yes, or I think he said word up. No idea what he was talking about. I said, which bloody vaccine am I getting? I want the bloody Oxford one. And he said, well, would you be okay with a Chichester one? And I just went, yeah, well, it's close enough, isn't it? Close enough. Chichester.
Yeah, well, it's perfectly respectable, Dickie. So
yes. So I'm going to have a Chichester whenever I get it, and then, I'll hopefully get a, Seven Sisters or a Mud Shoot from London if I'm lucky. We'll have to see, won't we? They can't guarantee what you're going to get.
No, it's a supply and demand, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and precisely, which is why at the moment I'm only buying British in supermarkets because I'm worried about not necessarily about carbon footprint, but about COVID fucking fuckwish. Sorry, pardon my. Pardon the swearing. Sorry, I've had.
Everybody. Sorry.
Couple
Let's
too many.
be honest. I mean, Dickie's fairly, as I am, fairly worried about what's going on. So,
well, I'm worried not about the carbon footprint. I'm worried about the all my fruits, vegetables, and foodstuffs traveling from afar, and then I get it, and it's completely covered in COVID. So I'm thinking, buy British. It hasn't traveled far.
No.
And then when I get it, I sort of like wash everything in fairy liquid and Epsom bath salts, and there we go.
Well, Pobby Moon.
Oh, I know Pobby Moon. Oh, lovely Pobby.
He used to sell things down at the pub.
Pobby would sell anything down the pub, wouldn't he?
Well, he's been selling British bananas, but don't buy them.
Oh, and why is that? Is this insider information here?
Yeah, he's been putting courgettes in a vice so they bend. And then he's been painting them yellow. Don't buy the British bananas.
No, you don't, because you're. Here's the problem. I'm not so worried about his Del Boy scams in that respect, but quite frankly, if you're about to make a banana daiquiri, and you suddenly get a gob full of courgette, you're in a very embarrassing predicament in mixed company.
Imagine if you would that the mayor was round.
Yes, exactly. The mayor of Tunbridge Wells has come round and said, here, I've heard that you do a rather nice banana daiquiri. I wouldn't mind one myself. I am the mayor. Get on with it. And you're like, of course, yes, you're the mayor. You put what you think is a beautiful fresh banana into your blender or the pestle and mortar, whatever you're using.
Yeah, whatever you're using.
Whatever you're using. And you end up serving him an ice cold bloody courgette.
I can't. It's one of those things like war crimes and murder. I can't imagine it.
Exactly. You could be publicly flogged.
Oh, can you imagine?
And also quite rightly. If I turned up to someone's house and they offered me a Bloody Mary and they went, oh gosh, no, sorry, that's not tomato juice. I actually painted a cat, and that's what I used. Sorry, it's not a Bloody Mary. It's a pussy exception.
And all the paint from the Airfix kit they've used has leaked into the drink. Oh,
yes, and the cat's not bloody happy either.
The cat's rarely happy around courgettes or cucumbers. So
no, I tell you what, if you put a courgette behind a cat when it's not looking, when it turns around, it will literally leap to the ceiling.
I am
Mind you,
sad.
I have to say, I have double checked on that. It doesn't really matter what you put behind the cat. It's the very act of putting something behind the cat that startles it. Because I tried that about 4 months ago, and I put a ceramic statue of Keith Chegwin behind a cat, and it did exactly the same thing. It leapt up to the ceiling.
I'm not bloody surprised.
Yes,
They're skittish, aren't they, cats? So
they are skittish by nature.
So I know you don't like to talk about it, but your house is flooded at the moment.
Yes,
Hence why you're in the stilted shed.
Yes.
But in your cellar, you had a very fine collection of things.
Yes, I have a fine collection of fine collection of craft ales, and more importantly, I have possibly the largest collection of autographs of Ruth Maddock in the world.
I mean, she was. I mean, if we take everyone's mind back to World War II,
yes,
when we were painting lovely ladies on bombs and missiles and aircraft carriers.
yes,
Ruth Maddock, to men of our age in 1983,
yes,
was a sight of beauty.
She was an absolute bombshell. And I tell you what, if Ruth Maddock had been around during had been a pin-up girl, let's say, in the First World War and the Second World War, she would not only have her image plastered all over Wellington bombers, but she'd also be, her image would be on a fair few German Fokkers.
Oh, the Fokkers would be all over her.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I have a deep, enduring love of Ruth, and I've got quite the autograph collection, obviously to the point where autographed photos, I've got far too many. So now I've got all sorts of things that have been autographed by her, from coasters to envelopes, from pictures, from vegetables, which I've obviously had to varnish so they don't perish. And I suppose the most cherished one is the amputated leg, which she signed. And look, we're pulling into York. We're pulling into York now. We are here.
We've arrived in York.
You can see the famous
the fuselage, it's called.
Yes, and there we are. And we've done it. We've done it, Ollie, from London to York
in just over 2 hours.
In just over 2 hours, bang on time, I have to say.
Oh, well, that's the one thing about British Rail you can't possibly say, is that they're rarely on time.
Rarely on time. And here we are, and we're in York, and it's been an absolute, I have to say, Ollie, I think this has been an unmitigating success.
Oh, absolutely.
I very much enjoyed this. I hope that, what's happened here? Oh, no, the journey's ended.
The train's ruined.
Stop that. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm back.
Yeah. Look, I'm there.
Yeah. Well, it's been quite the journey, and I hope you've enjoyed our journey from London, King's Cross, St. Pancras to York. We will hopefully be back for some other journeys, maybe, and if the series goes rather well, maybe some continental journeys, Ollie?
Well, wouldn't that be lovely, Dick?
Because we still have an absolute upheaval of stories from Ollie's days as a music producer and my days in the territorials and as a product tester for Which. And wonderful, because we've done a few train journeys together now, haven't we, Ollie?
We have done more journeys than you can shake a dick at.
Don't you go shaking me, Ollie.
I wouldn't dare you.
No, because obviously shaking people can result in cot death. Yes. So that's the end of this. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back.
Thank you for joining us on our roaring railway route.
Yes, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Boop boop.
Toot toot. Yes. Goodbye. Good night, Dick.
Goodbye, Ollie. Good night.
Good night.